Hey guys, it's Eric here at Farpoint Restorations and Repairs. If you've been following my channel for any amount of time, you know I know my Volvos. Between the repair videos and the how-tos, this channel is like the Volvo repair channel, unfortunately. That's because I worked for Volvo for a long time. Today, I'm going to show you how to use Volvo's software called VIDA. It's like their scan tool software, and I've got a Volvo dice unit here as well. I'll show you how to go ahead and plug this into a car and to get access through reading codes, diagnosing problems, and more importantly, like how to. Like if you want to look up how to do a particular job, you can do all that. If you need to look up part numbers, you can do that through VIDA. It's kind of a complex program, but hopefully after this, you'll have an idea of how to better utilize it for your car. Let's do it. All right, so first things first, if you're gonna be using the dice, you're gonna have the key on the Volvo, lots of modules, lots of computers, lots of stuff going on. Have an auxiliary power pack hooked up to it. The last thing you wanna be doing is be knee deep in diagnostics and have the battery on the car die for you. I've just got an inexpensive jump box hooked up to it, and we are ready to head over to the computer and do our diagnostics. Now you can get these in both Bluetooth and regular. I don't have a Bluetooth, so you might be able to see it in the picture there, but I've got a cord that goes over to my computer. Let's head to the computer now. All right, well, here we are over on the computer, and you can see we have VIDA over here. Now, thankfully, they've updated VIDA a bunch of times. For the longest time, you were stuck with Windows 7 32-bit, and obviously that's just not going to cut it. In fact, Windows 10 is now extinct. So this one will work with Edge and works with modern versions. This is version 2014D, and it does do some work all the way up through to more modern stuff like 2016, 2017 on some models, but not all. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and log in now. And I would not say that this is a speedy computer by any means. All right, so here we go. We're all logged in. We're going to define a vehicle, and we are going to do a read vehicle. I'm going to select my dice. Now, look, you can also use, now I won't do everything, but if you're not looking to find the dice programming tool, TIS TechStream, I've got some generic OBD2 to USB connectors, and I've had some luck with both of those, but if you're going to mess with Volvo, you probably want to use the dice. We're going to pick that, and we're going to go ahead and read the vehicle right now to see what's going on. And this will give us indication of what kind of problems we got going on. Now, I'll get into all kinds of stuff, but I figured for most of y'all, you'll want to be reading codes, checking out modules, doing diagnostics that way, but I will get into everything else as well. All right, so it's found my car. Only thing left for me to pick is that it is an automatic and that it does have a sunroof, and we'll click OK to that. And now we can get into it. So do I want to do diagnostics? Sure, let's go into that first. And it's going to take some time here, and it's going to read all of the computers on the vehicle to see what it has equipped with, and what's communicating, what's not. This becomes really important if you buy or have a car, or you're working on a car that has no communication with several modules, like a car that won't start but will light up the dice tool when you plug it into the OBD2 port. This is going to be critical for figuring out your CAN bus issues, stuff like that. So let's roll through this, and again, it takes a minute or two. All right, for this particular car, it took just under a minute to read all of the systems and subsystems, and check it out. Here's the current date, VIN number, chassis number, structure, and the type, Volvo, where it was built. So we have it in mileage. This one does have just under 201,000 miles on it. Some more details, and this is interesting stuff if you want to get into it. It's obviously information I already know about this particular car because this particular car is mine, but it talks about some of the stuff you get and some of the stuff you don't with the particular model you're getting. Right, so we don't have a rear CD player on this, but originally from the factory, it did have one. It does have a cabin filter. Headlight cleaning was by wipers. So pretty cool, huh? All right, but anyway, we got other stuff to do. So we can take a look at the network. And this is where it gets really cool for me as a mechanic. This is where we're going to be seeing, our engine control systems, what's communicating, what's not. In this case, the audio module is not communicating because it's been replaced. And so we can click on that if you want to show the design and function of that. Here we go with information, right? And it can bring us out to, it takes us over there and tells us exactly what's going on. So that's cool information, right? We hit the back button, we go back over here. And diagnostic tests, connecting the breakout box, check ground terminals, signal specs. Okay, so all that's there, but I already know what's wrong with that, so we're going to ignore that. All right, I can get into ECM here, click on that, and then we have design and function. It's a ME701 engine system. It says location of components is there, so let's take a look. Well, where's the what's his face thing? Here's all our sensors and their location on the car. So this is like quick to get to info, right? Now we'll go back, and we have a whole bunch of stuff. Diagnostic tests, right? We got a bunch, but this is, again, not the best way to find information. Let's get into fault tracing. That's where we're going to find our bigger issues here, right? All right, so we're going to go back. So right now it's at CEM, but let's take a look at ECM. And we'll take a look at the initial state. There we go. All right, so here we are at its initial code read, and these are the systems that either does not come with or ones that have issues. And so we do have climate control air fault, which actually is a real issue. And on this particular one, there's a sensor down here, and that's going to be a little difficult to get to, but we can diagnose that if necessary. And so it's not catching the air that's coming in through there is pretty much what it's saying. So that's interesting. It's saying there is issues. It's happening all the time pretty much. Details on that. How many times it's happened in the startups. And fault counter. I mean, like you can see. Various stuff you're going to find here. Okay. All right, let's go back to that. We'll get out of that. And let's see, we have communication. Obviously, the CEM is pissed off that the radio is missing. Not a whole lot you can do about that one, unfortunately. If you're going to replace this with an aftermarket radio, you are going to lose that as a function. Mirror motor, though, that's a new one. And we can see what was going on there. So it is saying frequency high. One of the power door mirrors is not working, and it says, hey, look at that. We could check for open signal that's cut, or blown fuses, or a bad defroster, right? And we can get into details again, how many times it's happened, various information, okay? And the battery voltage was much lower when that was hit. All right, we'll close out of that. And we have an evap code. These are always a problem on these cars. So this purge valve or evap valve is either not working or is not working well. And so this one, I don't know. It happens sometimes, but not all the times. I actually know what the problem with this is. I just don't care to fix it. But again, giving you information that might be critical if it's a more complex problem than that. Central locking, we even have a CAN system code for locking signal is too low, but it's okay right now, so we'll ignore that. All right, so that's that, and then we go into our reference information here, and it's like we got a vibration, and here's an accelerator pedal. These are like TSBs, but laid out slightly differently, if you know what I mean. Okay, so we'll get out of that. And then vehicle comm, we're already communicating with all these things here. But it's just another way. And of course, you can also clear codes with this as well. All right, so that's for diagnostics. Let's go back to the profile real quick. Still got the same car. Let's get into information, because here is where you are going to get your parts and repair and bulletins, and that is where we're at. So let's get into a parts catalog here. And hey, look at that. Let's look at door locks, since it said I have a problem with door locks. Oh, that's ignition locks. But, oh, lock kit rear door. Okay, we need that. We'll add that to the list. And now we know what we got. Here's our part number. We're going to need 4 shear screws to replace the steering wheel column lock. I don't know why, but we need that too. And we'll add all that to the list as well. All right, those are things we can do. And then let's get into repairs. And let's get into remove, replace, and reinstall. But this time, yeah, let's take a look at the front side door. And we're going to replace the window there. So it's going to show us, here's how it works. How do we remove the front door panel? And how do we get the runoff loose? And then here's how we take loose the actual piece here. And like, it's pretty detailed. I mean, I'd be pretty happy with that. I don't know, those little you push them in, then they come back out. Oh, I see a glue gun. Yeah, that could happen poorly. All right, so we have stuff like that can happen. And of course, there's a ton. Overhaul, like if I want to do engine work, It's got tons of information on that, like sizes and assembly and all this other stuff. Like you can see, this is very specialized stuff and specialty tools, gaps that you need. So from mild to wild, look, we can replace a window regulator, or we could go all the way in and rebuild an engine. And that's where we get into specs. Mechanical specs are all here. So like, what are we torquing stuff to? What size do we need? Let's take a look if it has front pad wheel height. There's your measurement values. All right, so, I mean, it's all that stuff is in there. All right, work list. Work list exists for your average shop, unless you're actually at a dealership. This is not going to be very helpful, but it ties in with their shop management program that they have there. Of course, this has changed since I left the industry. I left Volvo in 14, so it's been a while for me. Diagnosis we've already covered. Let's talk about software. Some software you can do downloads on with these things. Right there, I want to order this, download, and I could do this. And now, this is nice. Back in the early versions, you had to do this over the internet. So I click that. I can download that software to this computer to upload it to a vehicle at the time of my way. And like, look at all the stuff we can do. I can alarm output. I can get rid of that. And we have all kinds of stuff. I know there's an that's dazzling, ECM upgrade, or so if I replace the control module or the throttle body, ETM throttle upgrade, right? And these are things to have. So like, you have one with transmission issues. This is where you start. Buy yourself that. Let's see if we have a transmission. Yeah, TCA upgrade. Let's go in here, and so we can do that. Anyway, that's how you would go about doing that. And you can see these things and you can find information if you want that as well. You can download, see what you've already got on this thing. And I don't want to do that right now with y'all because we're running out of time. I don't want to waste too much of your time trying to keep this video under 15 minutes, give or take. And then lastly, we have search. I want to search a repair. Let's call it starter. And let's see what comes up. It's going to look that up. Cleaning overall, removal, replace. There we go. Well, let's see here. Cylinder head gasket replacement, PVT replacement. Yeah, let's check it out. All right, and look, I mean, it's getting way down in there. I love it. How to do a timing belt, all that. That was nothing to do with starter, I will say that, but I guess I didn't read that completely. Well, let's go back on that. Transmission installation and removal would probably have starter removal in it. There's starter switch, starter motor replace. There we go. It helps if you read. Okay, and there it is. Here's how I sneak my hands in there and get to those bolts. There's another one back there. I've done this a few times in life. And sometimes that bolt doesn't go back in. We'll see. All right, I guess that'll about wrap it up. Look, if you have questions about how to use VIDA, I'm here to help if you want, understanding of what these modules mean. I'm not going to help you diagnose, deep CAN bus issues. If I lived close enough to you, maybe I'd come out there and fix it for you, but that's probably not going to happen in this lifetime. But I do hope that this helps you out if you own a Volvo and you're a do-it-yourselfer. If you're an independent shop that specializes in European cars, like my shop does, then that is something you're probably going to want to invest some money in. Oh, that'll do it for today, my friends. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got a little something out of the video. If it did, perhaps you'll think about liking and subscribing. And I'll see you next time. Take care.